The night air was cold. Marcus stood at Gate 7 of the Riverside Hotel, watching the street. His uniform was neat. His radio was silent. He had been a security guard here for 11 years. 11 years of watching, waiting, protecting. But tonight, something felt different inside the grand lobby. Beneath the crystal chandeliers, a corporate event was taking place. Executives in expensive suits, champagne glasses clinking, laughter echoing off marble floors. Marcus had seen 100 events like this, maybe more. But he never went inside unless there was trouble. He stayed where he belonged. At the gate, then his radio crackled. "Marcus, this is Control. We need you at the north entrance." Now, his heart jumped. The voice was tense, urgent. Marcus didn't ask questions. He started walking fast, his boots hitting the pavement hard. Other guards were already moving. He could see them through the glass doors. Something was wrong. When he reached the north entrance, he saw them. 3 men in black jackets. Security supervisors. They were surrounding someone. Another guard. A young man in uniform, maybe 25 years old. His name badge read James. James was standing still. His hands were shaking. His face was pale. One of the supervisors was holding his arm. "Not gently. You're done," the supervisor said. His voice was loud, cold. "You don't work here anymore. Hand over your badge." James didn't move. He looked scared, confused. "I didn't do anything," he whispered. "Please, I need this job." Marcus stopped a few feet away. He didn't understand what was happening. James was a good guard. Quiet, hardworking. Marcus had trained him 2 months ago. The kid never caused trouble. Never showed up late. So why were they throwing him out? "Let's go," another supervisor said, pulling James toward the door. "Security footage doesn't lie. You stole from a guest room." James shook his head fast. No, I didn't. I swear I didn't." But no one was listening. The supervisors were already pushing him outside, into the cold, into the dark. His career was over. His life was about to fall apart. And that's when Marcus saw him, a tall man in a tailored gray suit, walking through the lobby with slow, calm steps. His hair was dark. His eyes were sharp. He looked like someone important, someone who didn't need to prove it. His name was William Harrington, Vice President of Operations. He oversaw everything. The hotel, the staff, the rules. People didn't argue with him. They didn't even look at him too long. But tonight, William stopped walking. He turned his head, and he saw what was happening at the north entrance. Before you go, if you love stories like this, hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what happens next. William's jaw tightened. He changed direction. He walked straight toward the scene. His shoes made no sound on the marble floor, but his presence was loud. Everyone felt it. The supervisors didn't notice him at first. They were too focused on dragging James out. But Marcus noticed, and he knew. Something was about to change. William reached them in seconds. His voice cut through the noise like a blade. "Stop." Everyone froze. The supervisors turned. Their faces went pale when they saw who it was. Even James stopped shaking for a moment. He looked up at William with wide, hopeful eyes. "Sir," one of the supervisors said quickly, "we're handling a theft situation. This guard was caught on camera entering a guest room without permission." I asked you to stop," William said. His voice was calm, dangerously calm. "Not to explain? Release him." The supervisor hesitated. His hand was still gripping James's arm. "Sir, with all respect, we have protocol. We've already reviewed the footage. He's guilty." William took one step closer. He was taller than all of them. His presence made the air feel heavier. "I didn't ask for your opinion. I said release him." Supervisor let go. James stumbled back, rubbing his arm. He looked between William and the supervisors, confused and terrified. William didn't look at James yet. He kept his eyes locked on the lead supervisor. "Show me the footage. Right now." Supervisor's confidence cracked. Sir, it's already been logged. We don't need to. I'm not asking. William's tone dropped even lower. Take me to the control room. Now. No one argued. The group moved in silence. Marcus stayed close behind, his instincts telling him this was bigger than a simple theft. James followed too, his steps unsteady. His whole future hung in the balance. The control room was small. Monitors covered the walls. Security feeds from every corner of the hotel flickered on the screens. A technician sat at the desk, his fingers frozen over the keyboard when William entered. Bring up the footage from tonight, William said. Guest room 412, timestamp between 8 and 9 p.m. The technician glanced at the supervisor. The supervisor nodded, but his face was tight, nervous. The footage loaded on the main screen. There it was. A hallway, dimly lit. The camera angle showed the door to room 4112 at 8:14 p.m. A figure in a security uniform appeared. The guard walked to the door, paused, then opened it with a keycard and stepped inside. There, the supervisor said, pointing at the screen. That's him. That's James. James shook his head frantically. That's not me. I wasn't there. I was on patrol at Gate 5 the whole night. Liar, the supervisor snapped. You're wearing the same uniform. Same badge number. William said nothing. He leaned closer to the screen. His eyes scanned every detail. The uniform. The posture. The way the guard moved. Then he straightened. Zoom in on the badge. The technician hesitated. Then he zoomed in. The badge number came into focus. It was blurry, but readable. James's number. James's face went white. I don't understand. I didn't rewind it, William said. Show me the feed from Gate 5 at the same time. The technician clicked through the cameras. A new feed appeared. Gate 5. Exterior. Timestamp 8:14 p.m. And there, standing at the entrance, was James. Clear as day. Talking on his radio. Checking the parking lot. Doing his job. The room went silent. Marcus felt his chest tighten. He looked at the supervisor. The man's face had gone red. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. William turned slowly. His eyes locked on the lead supervisor. Explain to me how this guard was in two places at the same time, the supervisor stammered. There must be. Maybe the timestamps are off. Or the timestamps are synced across all cameras, the technician said quietly. They can't be off. William's jaw clenched. He looked back at the screen showing room 412. Someone else used his badge. Someone wanted to frame him. James let out a shaky breath. Relief washed over his face. But William wasn't done. He turned to the supervisor again. How long have you known about this footage? Since this afternoon, the supervisor admitted. We reviewed it and made the decision to terminate him immediately. Did you check any other cameras? William asked. Silence. Did you confirm his location at the time of the incident before you decided to destroy his career? More silence. William's voice turned to ice. You didn't, because you didn't care. You saw what you wanted to see. Marcus watched the supervisor's face crumble. This wasn't just about James anymore. This was about something much bigger. William's eyes never left the supervisor. The silence in the control room was suffocating. The technician stared at his screen. Marcus stood near the door, arms crossed. James was still shaking, but now it was from relief, not fear. Let me ask you something, William said, his voice low and controlled. How many other guards have you fired this way? Without checking, without investigating. The supervisor swallowed. Sir, we follow protocol. If there's evidence you didn't verify, William interrupted. That's not protocol. That's laziness. Or worse. The supervisor's face flushed. We were doing our job. Your job is to protect this hotel and the people who work here, William said. Not to ruin lives, because you're too lazy to check the facts. He turned to the technician. Pull up the badge access logs for the last 48 hours. I want to see every time James's badge was used, and I want to know who else had access to it. The technician's fingers flew over the keyboard. Logs filled the screen, line after line of data. Timestamps, locations, badge numbers. Then something appeared that made everyone lean closer. There, the technician said, pointing. James's badge was scanned at the staff locker. Room at 6:47 p.m. But then it was scanned again at the security office at 6:52 p.m. James frowned. I didn't go to the security office. I went straight to my post. William's eyes narrowed. Who was in the security office at that time? The technician checked another log. His face went pale. Supervisor Mills and Supervisor Carter. One of the other supervisors in the room, a man named Carter, shifted uncomfortably. His eyes darted to the door. Carter, William said, his voice like steel. Do you have something to say? Carter shook his head quickly. No, sir. I was just doing paperwork. Show me the camera feed, William said to the technician. Security office. 6:52 p.m. The feed loaded. The small office appeared on screen. Supervisor Carter was there, sitting at a desk, but he wasn't alone. Another man stood beside him. Someone not in uniform. He wore a dark jacket. His face was turned away from the camera. Carter handed him something. A keycard, James's KEYCARD. William didn't move. His expression didn't change, but Marcus could see the fury behind his eyes. Cold and calculating, Carter Williams said slowly, Who is that man? Carter's mouth opened, then closed. He looked trapped. I don't know what you're talking about. You just handed someone a keycard that doesn't belong to you, William said. A keycard that was later used to enter a guest room and make it look like James committed theft. So I'll ask you again. Who is that man? Carter's face went red, then white. He looked at the lead supervisor for help, but the man just stared at the floor. No one was going to save him now. He's my cousin, Carter finally said, his voice barely a whisper. He needed money. He said he just wanted to look around. I didn't think you didn't think, William repeated. You gave a civilian access to a secure area. You helped him frame an innocent employee. And you were going to let James lose his job. Maybe even face criminal charges. Carter's hands trembled. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Sorry doesn't fix this, William said. He turned to the lead supervisor. You and Carter are both suspended. Effective immediately. Security will escort you out. And I'll be recommending termination to HR by morning. The lead supervisor's face went gray. Sir, please get out, William said. His voice was final. Two other guards stepped forward and led the supervisors out of the room. Carter didn't resist. He walked like a man heading to his own execution. The door closed behind them. The room was quiet again. James stood in the corner, tears streaming down his face. Not from sadness. From relief, from disbelief. He had been seconds away from losing everything, and now he was free. William turned to him. For the first time since this started, his expression softened. James, I owe you an apology. This should never have happened. James wiped his eyes. Thank you, sir. I don't know what to say. I thought I was done. You're not done, William said. You're a good guard. You do your job well. That's why I stopped this. Marcus stepped forward. Sir, if I may, what happens now? With the cousin? With the stolen items? William's jaw tightened again. We're going to find him, and we're going to make sure he answers for what he did. He looked at the technician. Pull every camera feed we have. I want to know where that man went after he left room 412. I want his face, his car, everything. The technician nodded and started typing. William turned back to James. Go home. Take tomorrow off. Paid, you've been through enough. James nodded, still in shock. He walked toward the door, then stopped. He turned back. Sir, why did you stop them? You didn't have to check the footage. You could have just let them throw me out. William met his eyes. Because I've seen what happens when people in power don't ask questions. When they just follow orders without thinking, it destroys lives. And I won't let that happen here. James nodded slowly. Then he left. Marcus stood alone with William now. The weight of what just happened hung in the air. That was close, Marcus said quietly. William looked at him. Too close. William stood at the window of his office. The city lights blinked in the distance. It was past midnight now. The corporate event had ended hours ago. The hotel was quiet. But his mind was loud. Marcus sat in the chair across from him. Neither of them had gone home. There was too much left to do. Footage is clear, Marcus said, breaking the silence. We have his face. The technician pulled 3 different angles. The guy didn't even try to hide once he left the room.
William turned from the window.
Does he have a record? Police are running his name now, Marcus said. Carter gave us everything. Full name, address. The guy's done this before. Small-time theft. Nothing major. But he knew what he was doing. William's hands curled into fists, and Carter just handed him the keys. Marcus nodded. He said his cousin told him it was just to look around. Said he wanted to see how the rich people lived. Carter believed him. Or he wanted to. Stupidity or malice, William said quietly. Either way, the result is the same. James almost lost everything. Marcus leaned forward. Can I ask you something, sir? William looked at him. Go ahead, why did you step in? Marcus asked. I'm glad you did. But you're the VP. You could have let the supervisors handle it. You had a whole event going on. Why stop for one guard? William was silent for a moment. Then he walked to his desk and sat down. His face looked tired. Older than usual, because I know what it's like to be powerless, he said. To have your life turned upside down by someone who doesn't care, someone who doesn't ask questions. Marcus stayed quiet. He had worked with William for 3 years, but he didn't know this part of his story. I wasn't always like this, William continued. I wasn't born into money. I didn't grow up in boardrooms. I grew up in a 1-bedroom apartment with my mother. She worked 2 jobs, cleaning houses during the day, waitressing at night. We barely had enough to eat. Marcus listened, his respect for William growing with every word. When I was 16, I got a job at a grocery store, William said. Stocking shelves, bagging groceries. It wasn't much, but it helped. Then one day money went missing from the register. $100. The manager reviewed the footage. He saw me near the register during my shift. That was enough for him. He fired me on the spot. In front of everyone, called me a thief. But you didn't take it, Marcus said. No, William said. I didn't. But no one believed me. No one checked. No one cared. I begged him to look at the full footage, to see who else was there. He refused, said he didn't have time. So I lost my job, my reputation. And my mother had to work even harder to make up for the money I wasn't bringing in anymore. Marcus felt his chest tighten. Did they ever find out who really took it? William nodded. 2 weeks later, another employee got caught. Same register, same amount. The manager never apologized, never called me back. He just moved on. Like I didn't matter. The room was heavy with silence. Marcus understood now. This wasn't just about James. This was about every person who had been judged without a fair chance. Every person who had been thrown away because it was easier than asking questions. I swore that day, William said, his voice firm, that if I ever had power, I would use it differently. I would ask the questions. I would check the facts. I wouldn't let people suffer because someone was too lazy or too arrogant to care. Marcus nodded slowly. James is lucky you were here, no, William said. We're all lucky when people choose to do the right thing. That's not luck. That's responsibility. A knock on the door interrupted them. The technician stepped in, holding a tablet. His face was serious. Sir, the police just called. They picked him up. Carter's cousin. He was trying to pawn a watch at a shop downtown. The watch matched the description from the guest room. William stood. Where is he now? County lockup, the technician said. They're charging him with burglary and identity fraud. Carter's facing charges too. Aiding and abetting. William exhaled. Good. Make sure the guest gets their property back. And compensate them for the trouble. Full refund on their stay. No questions asked. The technician nodded and left. Marcus stood too. What about the other supervisor? Mills? He'll face an internal review, William said. If he knew what Carter was doing, he's done. If he didn't, he'll be demoted. Negligence isn't as bad as conspiracy, but it's still unacceptable. Marcus respected that. Fair, but firm. That was William's way. What about James? Marcus asked. William picked up his phone. He typed something quickly, then set it down. I just sent an email to HR. James is getting a raise. And a commendation. He deserves recognition for what he went through. And for staying professional through all of it. Marcus smiled. He's going to cry when he hears that. Let him, William said. He's earned it. As Marcus turned to leave, William called his name. He stopped and looked back. Thank you, William said, for staying. For caring about what happened to James. A lot of people would have walked away. Marcus shook his head. I learned from the best, sir. William allowed himself a small smile. Get some rest, Marcus. Tomorrow's going to be a long day. Marcus left the office. The hallway was empty. The hotel was finally asleep. But somewhere in the building, James was probably lying awake, still processing what had happened. Still amazed that someone had believed him. And somewhere else, two men sat in cells, facing the consequences of their choices. Justice had been served. But more than that, something had been restored. Trust, fairness, the belief that the system could work if the right people cared enough to make it work. William sat alone in his office for a while longer, thinking about the boy he used to be, the boy who had been called a thief, the boy who had no one to defend him. He couldn't go back and fix that, but he could make sure it didn't happen to someone else. And tonight he had asterisk 3 days past. The hotel returned to its normal rhythm. Guests checked in and out. Events were held in the ballroom. The chandeliers sparkled under the lights. But something had changed. The security team felt it shift. A reminder that their work mattered, that they mattered. James came back to work on Thursday morning. He wore his uniform with pride. His badge was polished. His boots were clean. When he walked through the staff entrance, other guards nodded at him. Some shook his hand. Others just smiled. They had all heard what happened, and they were glad he was still here. Marcus was waiting for him at the north entrance. The same place where everything had almost fallen apart. Welcome back, Marcus said. James smiled, but his eyes were still cautious, like he was waiting for the other shoe to drop. Thanks. It feels strange being here. Like I'm walking through a dream. It's real, Marcus said. You're safe. And you're valued. James nodded. He looked around. Where's William? I wanted to thank him again. He's in a meeting, Marcus said. But he'll be around later. He doesn't forget people, James. You'll get your chance. They walked together through the lobby. James glanced at the security office as they passed. The door was closed. Inside, a new supervisor was already being trained. Someone from another property. Someone with a clean record and a reputation for fairness. William had made sure of it. I heard Carter and Mills are gone, James said quietly. They are, Marcus confirmed. Carter's facing criminal charges. Mills was let go for negligence. He didn't help Carter, but he didn't stop him either. And he didn't check the facts before trying to destroy your life.
Ow.
James exhaled. Part of me feels bad for them.
Marcus looked at him.
That's because you're a good person. But don't feel too bad. They made their choices. Now they're living with them. James nodded. They reached Gate 7. His new post. William had reassigned him here, away from the memories. A fresh start. You'll do great, Marcus said. Just keep being yourself. That's all anyone can ask. James smiled. This time it reached his eyes. I will. Thank you, Marcus. For everything. Marcus patted his shoulder and walked away. James took his position at the gate. The city stretched out before him. Cars passed. People walked by. Life moved forward. And for the first time in days, James felt like he could breathe again. Inside the hotel, William finished his meeting. It was with the board of directors. They had questions about the incident, about the security breach, about the changes he was making. He answered every question with calm confidence. He showed them the footage, the logs, the evidence. He explained how the system had failed and how he was fixing it. By the end, they had no more questions, only respect. William left the boardroom and walked through the lobby. He saw James through the glass doors, standing tall at gate 7, doing his job, living his life. That was enough. But William wasn't done. He had one more thing to do. He took the elevator to the basement, the storage room. It was dusty and cold down here. Boxes lined the walls, old furniture, forgotten decorations, and in the corner, a small desk. His first desk, from 20 years ago. When he had started at this hotel as a night clerk, he sat down. The chair creaked. He opened the top drawer. Inside was a folded piece of paper, yellowed with age. He unfolded it carefully. It was his first paycheck, $52. For a week of work, he had never cashed it. He kept it as a reminder of where he came from, of how far he had come, but also of why he was here. He thought about the grocery store, the manager who didn't care, the $100 he didn't steal, the reputation he couldn't get back. He thought about his mother, working herself to exhaustion, never complaining, always fighting. She had passed away 5 years ago, but he still heard her voice sometimes. In quiet moments like this, "Billy," she would say, "don't let them make you hard. Let them make you better."
Oh.
He had tried. God, he had tried. Some days were harder than others. Some days he wanted to walk away, to stop caring, to let the world be cruel because it was easier. But then he thought about James and every other person like him, and he knew he couldn't stop. He wouldn't stop. He folded the paycheck and put it back in the drawer. He stood and walked back to the elevator. The basement faded behind him. The lobby welcomed him back with light and warmth. As he walked past the front desk, one of the clerks called out to him, "Mr. Harrington, there is someone here to see you." William turned. A woman stood near the entrance. She was in her 50s. Her clothes were simple, but clean. Her eyes were red, like she had been crying. "Can I help you?" William asked. She stepped forward, her hands clasped tightly. "Are you William Harrington?" "I am." She took a shaky breath. "I'm James's mother." William's chest tightened. He nodded. "Please, come with me." He led her to a small sitting area near the lobby. They sat down. She was nervous, fidgeting with her purse. "I'm sorry to bother you," she said. "I know you're busy, but I had to come. I had to say thank you." William shook his head. "You don't need to thank me." "Yes, I do," she said, her voice breaking. "James told me everything. What you did, how you stopped them, how you saved him." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "He's my only son, Mr. Harrington. If he had lost that job, I don't know what we would have done. We're barely making it as it is." William felt a lump in his throat. He thought about his own mother, about all the times she had fought for him, protected him, sacrificed for him. "James is a good man," William said gently. "He didn't deserve what happened to him. I just made sure the truth came out, but you didn't have to," she said. "You could have walked away, let them handle it. But you didn't. You cared, and that means everything to me." William reached out and took her hand. "Your son is safe, and he's valued here. I promise you that." She squeezed his hand and nodded. "Thank you. Thank you so much." They sat in silence for a moment. Two strangers connected by a shared belief that people mattered, that fairness mattered, that the world could be better if people tried. She stood to leave. William walked her to the door. As she stepped outside, she turned back one more time. "God bless you, Mr. Harrington." William watched her walk away, into the city, into her life. He hoped it would be a little easier now, a little brighter. He went back to his office. There was more work to do. There was always more work, but for now he allowed himself a moment to feel proud, not of his title, not of his success, but of his choice. To ask questions, to seek truth, to protect the powerless, that was the legacy he wanted. Not wealth, not fame, just the knowledge that he had made a difference, one person at a time. 6 months later, the hotel was thriving. New policies were in place, better training, stronger oversight. Every security guard knew their rights. Every supervisor knew their responsibilities. And everyone understood that cutting corners would not be tolerated. James was still at Gate 7, but he wasn't the same James who had been dragged toward the door that night. He walked taller, spoke clearer. His confidence had grown, and so had his role. William had promoted him to senior guard. He now helped train new recruits, teaching them not just about security, but about integrity. Marcus was proud of him. They had become close over the months. More than co-workers, friends, brothers, in a way that only shared hardship could create. One evening, as the sun set over the city, Marcus and James stood together at the gate. The air was warm. The streets were alive with people heading home from work. You ever think about that night? James asked. Marcus nodded. All the time. Me too, James said. I still can't believe it happened. That I almost lost everything. That William stopped it. He's a rare man, Marcus said. Most people in his position wouldn't have cared. James looked at the hotel behind them. The lights glowing in the windows. I want to be like him someday. Someone who stands up. Who asks the hard questions. Who doesn't just follow orders. Marcus smiled. You already are. Inside, William was finishing his day. He had another meeting in the morning. Another decision to make. Another problem to solve. But he didn't mind. This was his purpose. This was where he belonged. As he packed his briefcase, his assistant knocked on the door. Mr. Harrington, there's an email you should see. It's from corporate. William opened his laptop. The email was from the CEO. The subject line read, Recognition. He clicked it open. It was brief, direct, the kind of message that carried weight. William, your handling of the security incident 6 months ago has not gone unnoticed. Your commitment to fairness and integrity reflects the values we strive for as a company. Effective immediately, you are being promoted to Senior Vice President of Operations for the entire region. Congratulations. William stared at the screen. He should have felt excited, proud. But all he felt was responsibility. More people to protect. More decisions to make. More chances to get it right or get it wrong. He closed the laptop and stood. He walked to the window one last time. The city stretched endlessly before him. Millions of people, millions of stories. Some would be heard, some would be forgotten, but he would do his part. He would listen. He would care. He would act that night as the hotel settled into its quiet rhythm. William walked through the lobby one final time before heading home. He passed the front desk, the ballroom, the north entrance, the place where it all started. James saw him through the glass. He waved. William waved back. A simple gesture, but it meant everything. It meant they had both survived. Both grown, both chosen to be better. William stepped outside into the cool air. His car was waiting, but he didn't get in right away. He stood there, looking up at the building he had worked in for 20 years, the place that had given him a chance when no one else would, the place where he had built his life, and he made a promise. To himself, to his mother, to James, to every person who had ever been judged without a fair chance, he would keep fighting. Keep asking questions. Keep protecting those who couldn't protect themselves, because that's what power was for. Not to dominate, not to control, but to lift, to defend. To make the world a little less cruel, he got in his car and drove home. The city lights faded behind him, but the promise remained. Solid, unbreakable. A foundation he would build his life on, and somewhere, In a small apartment across town, James sat with his mother. They were eating dinner. Nothing fancy, just pasta and bread. But they were together. They were safe, and they were grateful. "He saved you," his mother said quietly. "That man, Mr. Harrington." James nodded. "He did. But he taught me something too." "What's that?" "That one person can make a difference," James said. "That if you have the chance to do the right thing, you take it, no matter what. Then you'll be just fine, baby. Just fine." They finished their meal in comfortable silence. The kind of silence that comes from knowing you're loved, knowing you're safe, knowing that somewhere, someone cared enough to stand up for you. And in that moment, the world felt a little bit lighter, a little bit kinder, because of one man who refused to walk away, who refused to let injustice win. William Harrington wasn't a hero. He would never call himself that. He was just a man who remembered what it felt like to be powerless, and who decided that no one else should feel that way if he could help it. That was enough. That was everything. The night stretched on. The city slept. And tomorrow would bring new challenges, new decisions, new chances to choose between convenience and integrity. But for tonight, justice had won. Fairness had won. And one young guard could sleep peacefully, knowing that he mattered, that his life had value, that someone had believed in him when it counted most. That was the real story. Not about power, not about wealth, but about the courage to care, the strength to ask questions, and the willingness to stand up when everyone else walks away. That's what changed everything. That's what changed James. And in a small way, it changed the world. One act of integrity at a time, because in the end, that's all we have. Our choices, our actions, our willingness to be better. And when we choose right, when we choose truth, we create ripples that spread farther than we'll ever know. William had created a ripple that night, and it was still spreading. Through James, through Marcus, through every guard who now knew they would be treated fairly, through every person who heard the story and decided to be a little braver, a little kinder, a little more willing to stand up. That was the legacy. Not a title, not a promotion, but a belief, a living, breathing belief that the world could be better, that people could be better. That justice was worth fighting for, and as long as people like William kept fighting, kept caring, kept asking the hard questions, there was hope. Real hope. The kind that changes lives. The kind that saves them. That's what happened the night security tried to remove one guard. And one man's intervention changed everything.